Most people think that the only way to become a top 1% video editor is to work harder, learn After Effects, master motion graphics, spend 10 hours a day keyframing your life away. But here's the truth, there are literally tens of thousands of editors who can do all of that. Go on Twitter right now, you will find armies of them. Guys with insane transitions, smooth 3D animations, flashy effects, yet they are all broke. That's because being a technically skilled video editor does not make you top 1%. It just makes you replaceable. And that's what I want to break down in this video, because the real path to beating 99% of video editors is way lazier than you think. When I first started, I thought that editing skill was the currency. That if I could just make my videos look like Eman Gadgets, then I would make more money. But all that got me was longer hours and lower pay. Because skill, it's a commodity now. Because anybody with a laptop and YouTube tutorials can become good at editing. So if you want to stand out, if you want to become a top 1% video editor, you've got to be valuable in a way that most editors aren't. You need 3 things, and none of them are After Effects. Number 1 is taste. The biggest misconception about taste is that it means complexity. Like, if I can make something with 100 moving assets and motion blur, then it's tasteful. Taste isn't how complicated something is. Taste is how right something feels. Just because something is difficult to make doesn't mean that it's good. And just because something's simple doesn't mean it's lazy. If anything, the most tasteful editing is often invisible. Take Dan Koh's videos for example. His editor isn't using crazy effects. It's mainly just talking head footage, clean J-cuts, and black screens with text. Technically, anybody could learn to make that in a day, but the taste behind it, that's decades of refinement. The flow, the pacing, the typography, the way the music complements what he's saying, it all feels right, and that is taste. People say that taste is subjective. It's different from one person to another, but I strongly disagree. Sure, preference is subjective, but taste, true taste, it's universal. Most people can tell when something looks clean, balanced, and intentional. So if you want to develop taste, start studying why things look good. Watch films, YouTube videos, ads, and don't just consume them, study them. Notice how colors, fonts, pacing, how they all make you feel. Colors that work together. Fonts that communicate authority or even authenticity. Music that fits the tone and not whatever is just trending on Epidemic Sound. These are micro decisions that separate an amateur editor from the top 1%. And here's the real kicker. Your taste becomes the foundation of your client's visual identity. Your job as an editor isn't just to make videos. It's to build the visual language of the brand that you're editing for. You're literally shaping how their audience perceives them. Think about Alex Hormozy. You think purple, bold fonts, fast cuts. That's not random. That's taste. That's identity. When people see that combo, they think Hormozy, and you as the editor are the one who creates that association. That's your power. So taste isn't about effects, it's about intent. And once you develop it, you'll keep it forever. That's why I tell my students that developing taste is hard now, but once you have it, you'll never struggle to make something look great again. Number 2 is understanding business. This is where most editors completely fall apart. You have taste, you have skill, but if you don't understand business, you will always be treated like a pair of hands and not a content operator. And that's the difference between a $500 editor and a $5,000 editor. Here's the truth. As an editor, your best clients aren't entertainment creators. They are business owners. People who use content to make money, not just for fame, but to make sales. If you're editing for somebody who just wants to entertain, you're gonna stay stuck. They'll underpay, overexpect, and undervalue what you do. But if you work with businesses, creators who use YouTube as a lead source, everything changes, because now your edits have ROI. Here's what blows my mind. I've seen editors who work for channels that bring in hundreds of thousands a month, and they have no idea that their edits are the backbone of their business. They think that they're just cutting videos, when in reality the content that they're creating is driving sales. So how do you fix that? You sit down with your client and you actually understand their business. Ask them, what do you sell? Who's your dream customer? Why do people buy from you? What problem does your product solve? Because once you know that, your edits stop being random. You're no longer adding effects just because they look nice. You're emphasizing points that make people buy. You're highlighting transformation, not creating aesthetics. For example, if your client's audience is 40-year-old entrepreneurs and you're giving them zoom transitions and trap music, you're literally repelling the best buyers. But if you understand the psychology of their ICP, you can build a visual language that actually speaks to them. That's how you go from being an expense to being an investment. And that's what separates top 1% editors from the rest. They don't just edit videos, they build sales assets. The next thing that separates average editors from the top 1% is blindingly obvious, but most completely overlook it. And if you master it, well, you can double your prices overnight. But before we get there, if you're an editor who's already good at what you do, but stuck at $2,000 to $3,000 a month, you probably don't need more skill. You need a system. That is literally what I help my students install. A plug and play system that gets them clients, scales their income, and gives them freedom. If that's something that you want, there's a link below to book a call with me. We'll map it out step by step. But now, let's talk about speed, because this is the final piece that separates the broke editors from the top 1% earners. And I'm gonna say something that most editors don't want to hear. Speed is not about rushing, it's about removing friction. Let me explain. You see, speed is king in business. The faster you can deliver results, the faster your clients make money, and therefore the more valuable you become. If two editors have exactly the same skill, but one takes 7 days to deliver a video and the other one 24 hours, the second one can literally charge double. Why? Because it helps the client move faster, and businesses reward momentum. So if you want to make more money, you need to edit faster, not better. Now, most editors hear that and think, cool, I'll buy a Stream Deck, set up all of these cool shortcuts, and buy a 12-pack of White Monster. That's like putting a turbo on a broken car. Speed doesn't come from micro optimizations. It comes from systemization. It comes from turning editing into a creative grind into a repeatable product. That's what I call productizing your editing. Here's what that actually means. Instead of starting every project from scratch, new timeline, new assets, new everything, you build what I call a vault. It's literally a separate Premiere Pro project that contains every reusable asset that you need to edit one of your clients' videos. Lower thirds, split screen text, full screen text, chapter titles, sound effects, even music. You build one of these vaults per client, with their brand colors, fonts, and design elements baked into it. So every time you start a new element, you're not designing, you're assembling. This one shift can cut your editing time by at least 70%. Here's how I do it. Step 1, I use AI tools like Firecut and Gling to go through and automatically take out the silences and the bad takes. This gives you a clean base timeline without even touching the ripple delete button. Step 2, open up your client's vault and copy and paste the assets that you need. swap out the text, and then you're done. Step 3, focus your energy on the 10% of the video that actually needs your creative eye. The moments that make people feel something or motivated to buy. That's how you can edit 2 to 3 videos a day without feeling dead inside. And that's exactly how you scale. The beauty of this system is that it lets you work with better clients while working less. Because here's the thing, the best clients don't even want flashy edits. They don't care about 3D animations or particle effects. They care about clarity. They're educational creators, business owners, people who sell info products. They want videos that convert, not videos that distract. So by simplifying your style, you actually become more valuable to them. It's kind of ironic, right? The lazier you get, the richer your clients become. When I started using this system, I went from spending 10 hours on a single video to finishing 2 or 3 in a single day, and charging each of my clients thousands per month. Because now, my offer wasn't, I'll make you a cool video, it was, I'll help your brand make more money fast. That's a completely different conversation. That's when people start seeing you as a content operator, not as a disposable service. And that's what I teach my students. Not how to edit better, but how they can install a system to scale to 10K a month. Editing simple videos for rich clients fast and at scale. Here's the funny thing though, every single one of them says the exact same thing once they start using it. They go, bro, this feels too easy. This feels like I'm cheating. And I tell them that that's the whole point. The laziest editors win because they're the ones who have built leverage. They've stopped trading time for money. They've stopped reinventing the wheel. They're building a real business, not just a skill. And that's what being a top 1% editor actually means. It's not about being the best at Premiere Pro. It's about being the best positioned. Taste gives you identity. Understanding business gives you direction. Speed gives you scale. Combine all 3 and suddenly you're not competing with all of the other editors anymore. You're playing a different game entirely. So if you're watching this, you're already good at editing. You don't need another tutorial. You need a system. You need structure. You need to turn what you do into something that scales. Cleanly, predictably, profitably. That's literally what I do with my students. We install this system step by step. The same one that took me from an overworked freelancer to a 10K a month creative entrepreneur only working about 4 hours a day. And if you want me to help you build it too, click the first link in the description and book a one-on-one call with me. We'll map out your system, your offer, and your client pipeline. But fair warning, I only take on 5 to 10 editors a month. So if you're serious about breaking out of the digital minimum wage trap and becoming a top 1% editor this year, don't wait. Click the link, book your call, and let's get to work. Because the laziest way to become a top 1% editor is to stop grinding and start scaling. But if you want to watch my full hour-long course on how to scale your editing business to 10K a month for completely free, then you can click on it up here.